Hello, this is Stefan Kaplan Williams, philosopher psychologist. I'm talking about the archetypal spiritual movement at this time, and I'm using the teachings of the historical Jesus. While this is going into Easter Sunday, we can see Jesus as a Jewish teacher who was executed, crucified by the Jewish and Roman establishment of his day for being a gadfly, for being a Greek cynic philosopher as well as a Jewish scholar and teacher of practical, spiritual, and transcendent laws. Well, we're dealing with tonight Jesus' maybe greatest prayer along with the Lord's Prayer. And that's what I call the Gethsemane prayer, where Jesus is sweating it out. He realizes his commitment and mission with his disciples is to stay in Jerusalem and teach and challenge the establishment. And he's already condemned the establishment there, the Jewish temple priests and so on, and the political connivance with the Romans and so on. And Jesus sees there's a hell of a lot of difficulty and challenge and change needed. So he's challenged the establishment, and they're going to do away with him, get rid of him. He knows he's already been threatened and attacked. And so Jesus is at Gethsemane, not sure just when he's going to be arrested and brought to trial. And usually if you're brought to trial, you're tried not by impartial judges and juries, but by establishment people in power. And in this case, tried by the high priest first and then the Roman Pontius Pilate ruler. Okay, so Jesus then is being by himself, trying to bring himself to what's most likely to happen, which is being arrested and tried. And maybe he gets off trial, but probably not. They'll probably execute and sacrifice him. So this is the Gethsemane prayer he prays. In other words, what is prayer? Prayer is training your ego, your individual identity and awareness in accepting and dealing with reality as it is, with experience as it is. And see, this is not a Jesus that the Christians call Jesus Christ. This is a Jesus who is thoroughly human. He's not going to be saved or resurrected. There's nothing in this prayer like that. There is a very human longing. So this is Jesus doing the prayer where he says, Father, God, source, as we translate modern, all things are possible to you, says Jesus, to you the source. All things are possible in this creation, in my existence now. If it is your will and desire, remove this cup from me. Now, Jesus doesn't say what this cup is, but it's a metaphor. What can this cup mean? Okay, it can mean, oh, I don't want to die, as all of us humans almost. I want to keep existing. But Jesus knows he's been successful as a teacher, but he hasn't been successful as a culture changer. So he's feeling effective and he's feeling vigorous and alive. He doesn't want to die now. That's a possible interpretation of remove this cup from me. But another interpretation is that remove these fears and longings to stay alive so that I can stay conscious as I go through my arrest and trials, and if I'm to be killed, executed, crucified, so I can go through these things consciously and live my existence as fully as possible while I have it. Remove this cup from me. What else could it be? What else could it be? So when Jesus uses a metaphor in teaching, he's not saying you know, this means this or that means that. He's saying interpret it for yourself in terms of how I live my life and teachings and how you see my life and teachings. Remove this cup from me, but nevertheless, not what I will, but what you will. In other words, nevertheless, not what my ego wants. It's wanting to stay alive, or it's wanting to be successful, or it's wanting to complete even its mission and purpose. But what is the greater fate and destiny? What is the movement here that's greater than any one of us that is happening with a lot of people? So the greater will is something Jesus already committed to, and it's in another teaching. He says, go through the narrow gate which leads to life, because broad is the way that leads to destruction, and many that take it. In other words, another metaphor. What leads to life? And what Jesus teaches, it seems, is what leads to life, is following the source of life, following the source, the greater meaning of each moment of my, yours, his, everyone's existence. Live for a purpose greater than yourself. So this is the prayer. This is the Gethsemane prayer. Not what I will, but what is the greater will and purpose for my life. This is Stephen Kaplan Williams, philosopher, psychologist. You can find others of my teaching at dreamworkcircle.com or at strephansays.com. Into Easter, may there be personal transformation for you, me, and each one of us as we go through the coming of spring, which can also be a spiritual rebirth.